Hello, this is Michael Eure, and I'd like to invite you to the Michael Eure Show, featuring student hosts and very special guests talking about a variety of interesting topics. You can find us on the Eagle Stream YouTube channel. To the Michael Eure Show, we have some very special guests today, and I'm going to start with everybody just identifying themselves, and we're going to come back and ask some questions. Of course, you know I'm Michael Eure, and then we'll go with Jerry, and then Carla, and then Clarence. Go ahead. Just briefly introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm sorry about that. My name is Jerry Green. This is my second year here at Wake Tech. I'm a cybersecurity major, and real soon, I'm sorry. I'm also student outreach ambassador, working with Michael Eure here.
Thank you, Jerry. Carla.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carla Osborne. I'm an assistant professor of advertising and graphic design at Wake Tech.
Thank you, Clarence.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Clarence Goss, Jr. I am the Academic Communication Associate and Director of 1704 Media at Elizabeth City State University.
All right. Well, we're going to start with a few questions. And for the audience, if you have questions, please ask them in the chat. And we will get them on to the people you need. But we're going to start with Jerry asking some questions. And I will say we have another guest, Obelia Exum. She's not here yet, but you will definitely get to meet her. And she's from the North Carolina Museum of History. She's the creative director and the supervisor of graphic designers. All right. So, Jerry, are you ready to start with the questions?
Yeah, for sure.
And we're going to go with ladies first. So, Carla and Clarence, you're both going to get the same question. Go ahead, Jerry.
All right, Ms. Osborne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a graphic designer who's been at Wake Tech as an instructor for about 7 years. And prior to Wake Tech, I worked in private industry and with several state agencies as a graphic designer.
All right, well, Clarence Goss, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Clarence Goss, Jr. I am a graphic designer. I work here at Elizabeth City State University as the Academic Communication Associate and Director of 1704 Media Production. Prior to that, I'm also an adjunct professor here at the university. Prior to that, coming in 2012, and I was assistant professor. And I've also worked several years in the private sector, and from print to advertising to also art education, from K through eighth grade. Yes.
Okay, Jerry. Or do you want me to do this one? Either way, it's fine.
I can do this one. Question for Carla Osborne. What is the environment like working on your campus and interacting with colleagues?
Oh my goodness, we have the best, coolest, most creative group of colleagues at Wake Tech. And it's really an atmosphere of collaboration. If I don't see somebody in the hallway, I might ask them a question on Teams or email them or text them. We're constantly bouncing ideas off one another and, coming up with ideas for projects or troubleshooting together. So, it's a really energetic, friendly environment.
All right, Mr. Goss, what is it like being at Elizabeth City State and interacting with your colleagues?
It's the best. It's the best place to be. Isn't there no other place to be than Elizabeth City? But pretty similar to what Carla said, we have a very friendly atmosphere here. We all love to, everybody loves to work together when possible and to share ideas. I think COVID has definitely made us all really aware and want to be with each other and work and when we can. So working with colleagues, whether it's across campus, and I'm in a unique position because I get to work with everybody on campus in the academic affairs. So yeah, I love it here. And just working with my colleagues has been great.
All right, we're going to take a quick moment to have Obelia Exum introduce herself, but we're going to continue questioning the professors. Obelia, you're not backstage, you're front stage. So could you introduce us yourself?
Well, thanks. I better not tweak my hair anymore. Hi, I'm Obelia Exum, here at the Museum of History, and I am a graphic design supervisor, creative director, and at heart, I'm always a graphic designer. So,
Okay, you're gonna really get some more opportunities. But for now, Sarah, if you can move Obelia and I over to the side, and Jerry can continue asking the questions if you can. Thank you. And you can ask the question.
Left off with Carla Osborne. All right, Ms. Osborne, what is your experience like teaching and interacting with students during class? And has the online environment affected how you deliver lectures?
That is an excellent question. And it's interesting because when I first started teaching at Wake Tech, I only had one online class and the rest of the classes were seated. And so, it's different being in front of students and getting those sort of organic conversations going and those questions that bubble to the top that are sort of, maybe a continuation of a discussion about a particular subject. But now I only have one seated class and it's sort of flipped. All of my other classes are online. So it's interesting. Sometimes we have to do things a little extra, for the online classes to sort of try to recreate the same experience as in the seated classes. But I think that it's made us more creative in how we deliver classes. Wake Tech is really good already about support for instructors who are doing online instruction. But we tried synchronous online classes where we all met in teams. We've tried that. We've tried a variety of other things to sort of continue that level of engagement that you get in the classroom. And, sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. And we just step back and go, okay, well, we tried that, A lot of times we'll ask students, what do you suggest? What are you the most comfortable with? And, that's part of reaching students where they are.
That's cool. All right, Mr. Goss, what is your experience like teaching and interacting with students during class? And has your online environment, has the online environment affected how you deliver lectures? Right.
Well, I was fortunate, and I would say fortunate because I didn't have to teach. I haven't been out the classroom for 2 years, and that covered COVID. I didn't have to deal with that. The biggest thing though, I did have interns who worked with me during that time. So having to work virtually with interns and not being able to interact with them and was a huge obstacle to get over. We definitely made it through with the 1 or 2 interns and work study students that I did have to get through that virtual environment. Now being back in the classroom where we're coming back a little bit face to face, slowly, it's getting there, and it's been pretty good. I do have 1 or 2 students who are not on campus, so having to adjust that face to face with that virtual has been a challenge just because I was out of the classroom for 2 years. But I watched my colleagues who did a lot of my colleagues managed to pick right up and to make it happen. So I'm sort of looking at them now as the experts as I'm getting back into this virtual classroom thing. And like I said, they were rock stars who managed to do it last year. So my hat goes off to a lot of my colleagues here at ECSU and all my colleagues across in academia who managed to make it through their time as we transition out of it. So
That's really interesting. Then I got a next question for Ms. Carla Osborne. What are some trends you are observing or focusing on with students and or professionally?
Oh, goodness. The biggest trend probably is in UX design. And we were talking about this before the broadcast began. Mr. Goss and I were talking about how print is changing, and the emphasis used to really be a lot on print, but now we're interacting so much with screens. User experience is something that's really come into focus, and that's one of the great things about teaching is that we get to learn a lot of new things all the time, and so our department is sort of taking a deep dive into UX design and learning all we can learn about that, so that we can help students, because that's something that employers have identified as well. And something that kind of goes along with that is accessibility. And that's something that I think people in our field are more aware of in a way, because, I think that, being inclusive on a lot of levels, that is one more area where we can be inclusive, where I love print. Traditionally I was a print designer, but you can't use a screen reader with print. You can with a PDF, but when you take it to the next level and you include accessibility along with it, then it benefits everybody. It benefits all users. So that is a definite trend that I'm seeing. Now, the flip side of that is that I have heard from a lot of employers in the print industry saying, do you have anybody who's interested in pre-press or coming to work for us, in the press room? And that's sort of one of those trends where it's almost like linemen, that group of people are they're aging out into retirement. And so they're not being replaced as quickly. And so I think it's interesting that on both ends of the spectrum, your traditional print, you're seeing employees applications. So.
Okay. Had a little technical issues, Carla, but it's fine. You can
I'm
go.
Sorry. Is there anything you'd like for me to repeat?
I don't know.
So
We're gonna get a chance. Just go ahead. Go ahead, finish.
Okay, I was just going to say, just to recap what I was saying, the user experience and paired with accessibility is definitely something that we are embracing in terms of both as instructors and in coursework, implementing that in coursework. But we're also seeing a need for more traditional print-based design skills as well. So those are the trends that I'm seeing. Sorry about the technical glitch.
It's fine.
We have those all the time.
All the time. All right, for question for Clarence Goss and Elizabeth City, what is your experience in the trends that you see when observing or focusing on with students?
Again, repeating the conversation we had before the show, definitely, I think I told her I would give my students this little spiel, think beyond ink. Like Carla, I come from a print background. I worked in pre-press, so I was the plate creator. So I understand there is still a need for print, but the trend it seems now is what we can do on our phones. Can we make it so that we can access where a 8 by 8.5 by 11 print maybe only would hit a certain demographics in a certain area. Now I can hit 1 million and billions on my phone, and can it still look presentable? So that user experience that you get the UX with the phones, and also augmented reality has been something that I've have dabbled with my students. Again, using our phone and tablets, accessibility, like she said, but immersing you in a world that's beyond just that of two-dimensional. Can also be included. So I've incorporated before I got out of the classroom, and even now, in my position I'm in now, try to incorporate some type of augmented reality in there where it's not just you're interactive. So you can turn that print now into a multimedia document. So you have your print document and you have your multimedia document that can be print accessible, but you also have embedded video into it, embedded sound. One of the things we did recently and we're doing now is the Provost newsletter that we put out from the desk of the Provost. And it's an interactive PDF, but you also have built in, you have video embedded into it, content, YouTube links. So if you want to print it out, you can, for those who still love that hard copy print and hold, you get that. But for those who want to interact on your phones and tablets, you can click on it and see the video that's embedded in there. You can hear the interviews and all this in there as well. So that's one of the things that I'm working with now, being back in the classroom. Also with my students in 1704 media, we're looking into those different areas too, how we can now go beyond print, keeping the fundamentals of print and all of that, but also how can we take this into to reach a broader audience. So yeah, definitely the use of technology, but like I said, like we're both calling out, we're both print foundations. You can never get away from that because just like Michael's room, he has in there, you want to have those things up on your wall. You want to be able to print and put those things up on the wall, and that's something you just can't get with your tablet. So even if you print it out, it still has to be presentable to go up there. So yeah,
I agree. And I'm going to interrupt. We do have a comment or someone that wants to have you repeat something, but what I'm going to ask Sarah to do, if she can briefly play the MP4, I think, from Clarence. And then we will, thank you. All right, that was good. And you know, we couldn't just do Elizabeth City State and your great graphic creativity. And we're gonna also ask if she could play the small video clip from Wake Tech's advertising and graphic design. Thank you. I asked Sarah to do a whole lot of stuff, but she's good. And if you're gonna want to come back, we can do that later. Okay, thank you. All right, welcome back. It's always good to take a break, and welcome back, Obelia. We're gonna go with the last question, and I think that this is what would be a good transition for you to join us, Obelia, as soon as they answer this last question. Go ahead, Jerry.
All right, Carla Osborne. What are some real work experiences and collaborations you hope to see students participate in while they're in college to better prepare them for careers in graphic design and related industries?
That's a great question. We already have some things in place. We try to bring real world projects into the classroom. We've worked with Katie Gales, who's the Director of Entrepreneurship Initiatives. She brings in clients from Launch Wake County. We do branding campaigns for them. The town of Selma has been branded by Wake Tech students. So all of our instructors within our program go out and, sort of either people approach them or, we hear about an opportunity and we try to take advantage of that. Another example, and I could go on and on with examples. Another example is a local coffee chain who asked to be rebranded. And, it's really good opportunities because when you're talking to an instructor, you have one mindset, but when you're talking to somebody who's giving you feedback on things that they may or may not use or that they like or they don't like, that's really when you sharpen those soft skills and you learn really how to communicate with people about solving their problems. So yeah, we're hoping to continue that. So if you know of any opportunities, send them our way, most definitely. And very quickly, before you toss it over to Mr. Goss, I think we had a question that maybe both he and I can ask in the chat. Did you want us to address that now about the print? Or did you cover that already with the previous?
No. We're going to get to the questions. We got a bunch of questions, believe me.
Okay. I didn't want anyone to feel like we hadn't answered their question.
No. And to the audience, yes, we're going to go over a little bit. We already know that. But for those who have to leave at 12:30, we will do a quick kind of video piece. And then we'll start back in about a minute, like 12:31, and we'll stay until 12:45. So you're going to get your question asked. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Jerry.
All right, Mr. Goss. What are some real work experiences and collaborations you hope to see, or you aspire students to want to participate in during their college years to better prepare them for their careers in graphic design?
Well, hope to see. We're actually doing it now. The video clip that you saw was a snippet of what we're doing now on campus called 17 Media Production. And it says where creatives come to discover, which is our university's motto, come to discover, lead to conquer. And so with 1704, we actually are doing that now. We're reaching, and we have what I call community partners and collaborators. So this summer we did a summer, let me just talk about some of the projects we have. So we have what's called Check the Resume, which is a live music performance series. And our students work behind the scenes, they actually behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. So we have students who won't perform, they're singing, they're rapping, whatever genre they want to do, we give them a platform to do it. All the musicians are students. Our videographers are students. Production design are students. The graphic designers, everybody connected to it are students. And myself as an instructor and Professor Naylor, who's the music director, we just sit back and let them do their thing. The Compass newspaper that we're bringing back, like I said, we're bringing that back in a multimedia way where students are working on that. We have students from English department, digital media, graphic design, psychology. They're coming in, they're putting this paper together, and they're getting that real world experience. You name it, the provost newsletter, several different things we're doing. And this all fits in our umbrella of our QEP plan for our university, which says from the classroom to career. So we're reaching out to our local people. This summer we had put on a summer music camp, and we collaborated with the Elizabeth City Pasquotank School Council, school system. And so our students were able to hopefully get internships with them in the future. We're working with local businesses who are bringing our students in to do commercials for them, to do graphic work. It's a requirement in our program that you have to do 120 some hours of internship. So we're working with anybody we can to get those positions, as well as our career services department here on our campus, which is great. We have an awesome career services who try to put our students in programs. I had a student this summer who worked with a major marketing firm this summer, paid internship at that, and then that turned into a job after the end of our internship that lasted in the year. So we're always trying to push students who are getting that experience any way we can. I tell my students day one, my two mottos, my two things I focus on in my classroom when I'm working with students is one, graduate school, always seek higher learning in some area, and then entrepreneurship. You know, jobs that we know, we've seen things during COVID that some jobs have been cutting off and laying off. But if you can create your own job and create your own way and create your own money, then you're guaranteed, well, you're a lot better off than sometimes waiting for somebody to give you that job, you know. And I've had several students now who've had their own businesses who are in the Charlotte area, Atlanta area, who are get out of school, look for a job, like, you know, most of us did, try to find that 9 to 5, and it was hard. And then realize, you know what, let me start my own business. And they're now doing great. They're awesome in their area. And I'm just proud, you know, a lot of them, I frequent their business. So anytime you can look at your students and see that they're building their own, is a great thing. So, you know, I think that's one of the great things about Elizabeth City. We're always pushing our students in that real world experience, you know, to get their hands on. It's not, we can talk about it all day and do the theory in the books, but once you get out there and you start working with people, it really comes like, oh, the light bulb goes off. Now I understand why you were telling me to do this, this, and that, because I'm working with somebody like Miss Obelia at the Museum of History, and she's asking me these questions, boom, 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 and I can put 2 and 2 together. So yeah, like I said, we have several opportunities on 1704 that we're working with. Michael, we're working together with the documentary team that we've started, and with the Museum of History, and students are working on that, you know. And I'm happy because before I was doing the driving, now I can sit back and just and let them do the driving. And so that's what we're pushing for, from the classroom to career. So yeah, like I said, I can go on and on, you know, about it, because that's a passion of mine that I've always had preached. So.
Well, Obelia and I know that you've been talking to Earl Imes. That's what that is. So we ain't gonna worry. But we all see a student is knocking on my door, but I have a note that says that I'm recording, but I'm not gonna answer the door. So if you would, Sarah, just play that NC dash, and I'm gonna say move us to the side, the NC dash AACC. And this is I'm also announcing September 15th to October 15th is Hispanic Heritage Month. And also the statewide kickoff for Black History Month will be taking place at the Museum of History, and Obelia does all of our artwork. And this is a general overview if you want to just scroll down. But if you can just, and I'm gonna ask Sarah to put that link in the chat for the audience that you can click if you want to become a presenter. That is my main concern, because the deadline is October the 15th, where you see right there, apply for AACC. Just can you click that really quick, Sarah? And then that's all you have to do is scroll all the way down. And once you finish, you just hit submit, and it will go directly to the museum. And this is for anybody, and particularly students. I want to encourage you to find out what this is, and you will get a small honorarium if you are selected. So that's that. And now I'm going to let Obelia respond to what we've said thus far, and then we can start with those questions. And Obelia has been on the show several times, so I know she's a pro and she will have no problems doing that. Go ahead. We'll go back now. Thank you, Sarah. Obelia, do you want to respond to what we've talked about thus far, the parts that you've heard? Because I know you've been backstage and you've been doing lots of stuff. But
yeah, and I was so glad to hear what the students are doing now. I do want to just say that just looking at the times that I've taught and thinking about how students, really want to know that, I just feel like one of the major things that I remember as I taught is students wanting to know what real world experience do they need to get out and start working. And certainly they've asked me at the museum in various places. I wanted to just mention some things that I thought, because I love that conversation about accessibility and Wake Tech, where students are going. And then I also wrote down what Mr. Goss was saying. Think Beyond Ink trend is out now. I wanted to mention some of the things. What kind of experience would I be looking for if a student, if I grabbed a student and worked with them now? And thinking about what graphic designers are doing now, I had written some interesting information that I thought, okay, let me just say this. I would be looking for a great experience in terms of portfolio, definitely teamwork. You have to have people skills, and you have to be efficient just in terms of where we are in life now, being able to just work with a team of people or people just spontaneously. And so I'm just confirming what I know that you all have already said. When I put down speed and accuracy, versatility, you've got to have all of that. Developing brand ideas, showing those concepts, showing those sketches pretty quickly. You have an idea, get back out there and say, okay, here's this from beginning concept, here's a final concept of what that looks like. And understanding multitasking and understanding new priorities, just knowing multitasking and being able to prioritize. Here at the Museum of History, I know I would be wanting to make sure you understand scale and proportion when it comes down to exhibitions. You have to know it. There are all those properties that is being taught. I love that stuff in graphic design. And I had some questions myself, but I'm gonna hold back on that. But loving the entrepreneur, because that's gonna show some great design skills. And then coming out of that classroom, and then showing us what sorts of concepts you had worked on in the classroom would be, efficient, would be great for students if we had them even here at the museum now. And so I working on murals and large scale poster graphics. It is not only in at the museum, it is the way the world is running now. You all know it. And if you can just imagine, we've got them here at the museum. We're talking large scale exhibitions, logos, graphic design, branding, enlargements. But you also know this is also going on. Environmental design is, it's just a biggie. It's just an expansion of that whole thing. So I was loving and enjoying a lot of the conversation that you all were having there, and just thinking about how that's being integrated here, or what we would like to see here at the museum, having students as well. Uh, Trying to figure out what other sort of thing should I be explaining? Oh, we were talking about the AACC. If I can go into that just a little bit, we have the opportunity, and I appreciate you, Michael, for just going right into the Museum of History and sharing that with the students. We have the opportunity here, and I've had that opportunity, and you've seen me on other shows, just to get that involvement with AACC, and the opportunity to just have a theme every year, come up with a look, come up with a brand. That's just one part of what I do, but certainly what I consider to be something that we would be looking for in our future, of course, students working on that sort of thing as well. So AACC, let me see. It's something I have worked on, and you all see the sketches in the back. Funny, interesting thing here. I don't know if you're familiar with.
We can't see all of it, though.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Thank
Allison put this up here for me. So this is one of the many designs that, of course, we had worked on, coming up with icons and, Africa, that sort of thing. But these are things that we work on here at the Museum of History. Just real quick, I pulled out, made especially for you, Willie ODK exhibit. And I pulled that out because that's one of the traveling exhibits that we have now. Going to North Carolina A&T State University, my alma mater. And so I hear that graphic designers up there are excited as well about the Museum of History and what projects we're working on here as well. So there's a number of projects. Oh, I forgot my, one of my icons here. So a lot of people know me by that 15th African American Cultural Celebration Festival. So we're just enjoying that sort of thing. I show it many times, but that's one of the iconographic. But the AACC is constantly growing and changing, and I'm loving the reaching out with the HBCUs this year and just expanding even more across the state of North Carolina. So we're really excited this year. Allison is in here with me, so I'm thinking of all the things that I would have remembered to say.
Well, we got
but she's giving me a thumbs up.
Yeah, we got extra. And right now, for the audience, I told them we were going to do a little quick break. So if you can just do the success coaches really quickly, and then we're going to come back and have some more of Obelia Exum. And thank you, Carla and Clarence, for staying a little bit later. We appreciate it. I know we're asking Obelia to do a lot. I mean, not Obelia, Sarah, I'm confused. Anyway, this is the Success Coaches link. And for students, I just want you to be able to get to it. And that's all it is. There are 3 coaches. You can go back. There will be 12 by January, and just click schedule appointment. I just want the students to know, if you need to make an appointment, if you have any questions about anything, that's it. So that was all I wanted to show you. That's the break. Now we can come back and do some more good stuff. And the website is successcoach.waketech.edu. Thank you. All right, Obelia, it's up on. I'm letting you lead the second half. Go ahead.
Oh, my goodness.
Final third.
Yeah, I tried to cram everything in there, didn't I? And for those of you all who you may know and may have followed, we're doing here at the Museum of History, graphic designers. There are 2 others that work with me. I love the team experience. We just love it here, because starting projects, completing projects, jumping right in there, the other graphic designers jumping right in there, joining us on any projects, production at the end of the hallway. So we're not only just sitting behind the computers, we're getting up, helping to mount boards back there in the back. It is all, as well as leading on exhibitions that we have here at the Museum of History. Just we do signage, and I just want to and it just allow you all to know how expansive it is. We work on branding. That is from educational programs or any programs here at the Museum of History where we're developing a brand or a look for those programs. And then when it comes down to online, one of the programs we have community, what is it? Community class. And one of the programs we are, I'm just naming that one because it is one of the programs that we had come up with a scheme, thematic look and an idea. The thing with that, every time we have community class, depends on who in the community. Right now, we're working with American Indians this fall, and before we were doing African American community. And so we're constantly changing that. Education says we're going to move forward with rural this time. And so we have community class. And one of the graphic designers, just allowing you all to know, developed a look for that community class series. And once we develop that look, we always are like, okay, it's going to go online. And I'm sharing with you all the quick sort of turnaround. We develop that sketch, send it into a committee. They look at those sketches. Can we tweak here? Can we tweak there? Finally, we've got a brand and a look and a template where we're, okay, it's African American. Now we're going to take AIHC, drop it into that look, and then send community class back out online. So the template has to be flexible, but it still has to be an image for that particular group of people. And they select speakers for that. But I'm using community class to just give you more of a variety of how it is and who it is that we have to work with. That's one of the many projects. Just
Hold
for
on.
information. Yes.
Hold on. Yeah, we're going to take a quick question and then we're going to come back to you. So there's a question in the chat. Go ahead. You want to read that? It's from Takira Beasley. Jerry.
Takira Beasley says, beyond the pandemic and social media, how has DIY software like Canva influenced trends in graphic design?
And all of you can answer that if you like. All of you or any of you. Who wants to go? Does anybody have an answer?
Now, you know, I'm a talker, so I'm just gonna say one thing. I think it has influenced it, but I'll allow them to say how much it has from their point of view. But you know, just being a professor or a classroom person myself, I cannot get around. I love the principles of design at heart. At heart, that's all I'm going to say. That graphic designer making sure that they are really using the principles in graphic design. Okay, that's enough for me. To Mr. Osborne or Mr. Goss.
I would say the same thing. Everything, there's a tool for everything. I always tell my students there's a tool for every type of job. But when you, if any field or any profession, there's always a professional who knows the proper way of doing it. Like I said, the principles, the theory that goes behind it, where Canva is a great tool for those individuals to get something out quick. It's nothing that beats that professional graphic designer coming in to give you the reasoning behind these colors go the way they are, the theory behind it, the principles, and all. You just can't do away with that. So it doesn't, just because you have Canva, and I can tell my students, just because you have Canva and Photoshop does not make you a graphic designer. It just means you are able to buy the software or download it and you can use it. So it's nothing that you can get away. Just like I can have I have a toothbrush and I may have a floss, and it doesn't make me a dentist. You know, I have a set of tools. I have some wrenches and some socket wrenches, but that doesn't make me a mechanic or whatever. But get the professional.
I like that, Clarence.
I'll leave that like I'll leave that right there.
Yeah, we're gonna get you on stage doing a comedy show. You're good. You have a response, Carla?
Yes, I just wanted to add that you know, I'm in total agreement with these statements, because you can have a really great idea and it's still going to be a great idea. You can't make a bad idea a wonderful idea with Photoshop or Illustrator or any of these tools. And I'm so glad to hear that the topic of sketching being brought up, because that is something that sometimes students skip that step, and they are the design tools out there, and be it Canva or Photoshop or whatever. But you can just convey your concepts quickly and with a sketch. And if you can convey that with a sketch, then you can take that and run with it. And so I was really happy to hear you say that about the Museum of History, Ms. Exum, and hear that that's the way you begin.
All right, it's back to you, Obelia. And
that's the thing on that too, Michael. Because I know I want to say on that part what Ms. Obelia mentioned too about the sketches, but also the process. So one of the things I always tell my students, we do a process book in any project we do. I want to see from beginning to end, your sketches, your mood boards, your creative brief, because when they come to you, you want to know if they can think. Can you process this information? Can you take from this concept I'm giving you and then let me see you all the way through? So so I hope even my students are watching. Now you can see why I have you do those process books, because those people you're going to apply for, they want to see if you can think and go from just showing them a final product, but how you come up with this idea. So we go back to the whole Canva. A lot of times you don't see that. You see that with the sketches, and also yes. So thank you for putting that out there, and I will be sharing this in my class. Miss Obelia Exum says she want to see your sketches if you come apply for a job.
Yes, and I believe what's happening now in this world that we're in, technology, because so many people know how to use technology. It's like, see, I know how to use technology. I can drop a picture in. I've got an image in here, so I'm a graphic designer now, and I can take it from here to here. My question again, and I'm just piggybacking on what you all are saying, do I see any thought put into this, any methodology put into it? Are there any principles in here? How do you start from the beginning? And I'm going to give you this concept, and I want to see that concept, sketched out from beginning to end. That is just very, very essential. Working in technology, and I really believe this, a lot of people say, hey, I know how to do all of this, so I'm a graphic designer now. And so you really need some, people out there who are giving you all that feedback, saying, no, we really are looking for people, who have those skills. And some people say I have a knack. I don't bother too much with that. I just know what sorts of standards we're looking for, here at the Museum of History, and I would imagine other businesses are looking for as well. But thank you so much. I'm glad that's working out. I know that the people here at the Museum of History, we just appreciate them, graphic designers do, because there are a lot of creative ideas that we can come up with. There are a lot of work, just different sorts of projects. I started a while ago and I said, signage, and then they're the banners we work on outside of the Museum of History. There are signs that we work on inside of the Museum of History, wayfinding signs. And so we, have information on that and try to keep up with standards when it even comes down to that, because there are standards and principles for everything. You just cannot get out there, create your own sign, and then say, I've created this sign so people can follow this. There are wayfinding methods and principles that we have to go by, and we stand on those methods and principles, even when we're dealing with a digital world, as we go into that digital world. And I love that word accessibility. I wanted to ask a little question about that, or just more explanation with that. But talking about that, creating even print design, and I got so tickled. I was like, oh man, I hope paper and print has not gone completely out of style. So even that print design, we of course are still, when it comes down to AACC, we're putting those posters out there so people can in the community can get to put that up and get to see that, and sharing the information of what we're having and when it's going to happen. So print design still in, concepts, coming up with logos. What does that look like? It is really so much fun, and I typically tell people I enjoy being that graphic designer still, coming up with branding for exhibitions. what a great opportunity I would just say that I've had here, and I know the rest of the graphic designers would, totally agree with that. Coming up with branding for that, a signature look for those. We do many in-house exhibitions, and as I said, and then you've got your, I want to say, marketing that look. We have, I'm trying to think of the name. For marketing, we do ads. And so we have to go online with electronic. And I believe where I started with community class, once we come up with a visual for that, then we have to have the sizes and proportion for, okay, can it fit on Facebook? And I'm saying this for the students, how is it going to look on Twitter? Is that going to work? How is that going to look in, what's the, how, yeah.
I'm interrupting.
Instagram, all of the programs. Yes, all of the programs.
Obelia.
Yeah. And so
Obelia.
everything now is online. Everything now is visually, it needs to work there. And then how's that going to work with your phone as well?
Obelia, we have come to the end. All good things come to an end. But we're going to let everybody have their final 10 or 15 seconds for your final statements. And we're going to kind of maybe move over Sarah, and they can make them from the side. If we can just kind of play very lightly the music from the cultural mixer. And we're going to start with Jerry, and then we'll do Carla, and then Clarence, and then Obelia. Okay? All right.
Me myself, I don't have much to say. I'm happy to have been a part of this meeting today. I'm not a graphic designer myself, but I do have friends that do major in graphic design. So events and activities that come up related to that, it would be nice to pass that on to them.
All right. Thank you. Carla?
I'm happy to have been part of this today. I think design touches everybody's lives on many levels. So thank you for having me be part of this.
Thank you. All right, Clarence.
This has been an awesome experience. Great meeting you, Carla. Jerry, we've met before, and Miss Obelia, always a pleasure meeting you. Thank Michael. Again, if you're ever in Northeast North Carolina, please check us out here at ECSU. We have a great graphic design program, and we're always, this is where creative come to discover. So definitely check us out. And again, anytime I can be of a service, just give me a call.
And we really do want to say thank you. When we went to visit Elizabeth City State University, we took some students. They are in love with Elizabeth City State. It was right before everything shut down from the pandemic at your winter homecoming. And I'm just going to say again, Obelia, this is your turn. You get to say the final thing. And then we all going to wave goodbye. Go ahead.
But I appreciate, I'm so excited to hear what the programs are doing there. At Wake Tech and at Elizabeth City, and just to hear what the students are doing. I love that Accessibility US, that multimedia design, and it gives me something to even bring into the environment that we have and keep in mind of what sorts of graphic designers are out there now. It is my pleasure always to know that, just excited to know that classrooms are still building students with that sound principle, no matter what. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
And thank all of you, and we'll see you next month when we'll be celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. And also our Office of Career Services, I'm going to talk with them about bringing the three of you back to do a panel for our students, all of the students, because it is beyond just graphic design. It is what really makes the world pay attention. So I appreciate you all. And now we can wave goodbye. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, Sarah.